After months of waiting, the anticipated Part 4 of The Oldest View by kanepixels has finally been released. But unexpectedly, this part of the series hasn't answered many of the questions that viewers have been eager to see resolved. This new installment really doesn't have much continuity with the previous parts and doesn't seem to tie up any of the loose ends from before. That's why today we'll break down this latest video in detail and discuss theories about what the Oldest View Dispersal might mean for the future direction of the series as a whole. And if you haven't already seen the last 3 parts of the series, I highly recommend you to check them out now, as this part, as mentioned, is quite confusing. I also covered the last 3 parts in my first video on the series, so I'll also leave that link now. But with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. The video starts off with a shot of a blurry door. This could be the same door that was seen in the last part. In the background you can hear a very muffled scream with loud bangs. This is most likely the sound of Wyatt falling to his death as seen at the end of the last video. After a couple of seconds, the door creaks open in a very odd way. Here we get a clearer shot of the door. This is definitely the door that Wyatt went through in the last part, but now the door is overgrown with leaves and floral greens. The door itself seems to be slanted, with it appearing to be just floating there with no connection to the door frame. We cut to a shot of a lit staircase leading to an unknown destination. Around the frame of the opening we can see more of the floral surroundings. This opening also appears to be in a completely different place than the original opening. We then cut straight to a shot of a man talking about the Dallas Midtown.
We are around if anybody has any additional questions. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you again to all of the city council people, to our to CC Broadnex for coming, members of the media and residents, and look forward to showcasing a groundbreaking here within the next number of months. Take care. Thank you. Thank you so much.
This video is actually a real video of a press conference going over the Dallas Midtown. The Dallas Midtown is a newly developed area where the Valley View Mall used to be. We cut back to the shot of the staircase before cutting to Wyatt's dead body. This time, instead of it being during the day, it's at night. We then see the flags of the giant overlay the background of passing clouds before cutting to black. We see the emergence of light through very small holes before we see the shot of the giant lit up by a hole in the ceiling letting light through. We cut straight back to the ending moments of the last part where Wyatt climbs towards the exit.
Oh shit. 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 Oh fuck. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. Oh my gosh.
This time, instead of falling to his death, he successfully makes it to the exit where Wyatt runs up the staircase in desperation to leave. We then get a wide shot of Wyatt running through a lush green forest. We see Wyatt navigate through trees before we get this message on screen. Anatomically, modern humans have existed for approximately 300,000 years. Recorded history accounts for roughly 1.6% of this time. We cut back to Wyatt finding his car and trying to pull up a map on his phone. Wyatt looks around at his surroundings before seeing a passing car go by, sending a sigh of relief through Wyatt's body. Wyatt is finally safe. Or is he? At the end of this part, we see the point of view of the giant rolling down the road. Okay, this part of the oldest view is by far the most confusing. No real answers are solved, and it leaves us as the viewer with more questions than answers. The biggest being, did Wyatt actually live? Is the giant looking for him? And more importantly, what is happening? Okay, so I know a lot of you are very confused on what's going on at the moment, and for good reason. This part sets out to be very confusing and mysterious for a reason. If you watched my last part, we discussed one of the most popular theories of the giant being a dryad. If you ever watched that part, a dryad is a spirit who lives in trees or plants. Reason being that in the first 3 parts, symbolism and references to botany and the smell of freshly cut grass is brought up very often. But in this part, there are very little to none. So for the moment, I don't think this theory is supported in the series. So seriously, what's going on? First, let's look at the title, Dispersal. The word dispersal has a couple of meanings, but one of the most popular is the action or process of distributing things or people over a wide area. This choice for a title is quite weird. I mean, in the last 3 parts, the titles make sense for that part. For example, renewal. It makes sense since we are seeing the creation of the giant. Part 2, Beneath the Earth, shows Wyatt, the main character, go down a flight of stairs beneath the earth, finding the abandoned mall. Part 3, The Rolling Giant, again obviously where we see the rolling giant. So the title choice Dispersal is quite strange if it's supposed to mean something, which I think it does. As mentioned in the breakdown, we see the climax of Part 3 where Wyatt attempts to escape the giant before falling to his death. But in this part, Wyatt lives and doesn't die, he escapes. So why did it change? Is the series canon now to be believed as unreliable? I don't think so. We even see Wyatt's dead body in this part, with the key difference from the last part being night rather than day. So what's the reason behind showing this? I think this is done on purpose. This isn't a recap of the scene we saw from part 3, but rather a current scene of Wyatt's body showing us he is still dead. I believe this is part of the reason the title for this part is Dispersal, again the action or process of distributing things or people over a wide area. I believe the reason we see both Wyatt's death and Wyatt's escape is because Wyatt did escape. Wyatt fell to his death at the end of part 3, but his soul dispersed from his body, allowing him to escape. Wyatt doesn't actually know he's dead and believes he actually escaped. Wyatt's body might have not escaped them all, but his spirit did. I think this is also the reason why we see the giant go after Wyatt in the ending scene of this part. The giant didn't finish the job, and will stop at nothing until Wyatt's soul is his. The second theory, like the last one, follows a similar theme. This one suggests that when Wyatt originally fell to his death, instead of his spirit dispersing from his body and exiting the mall, Wyatt actually dispersed into 2 versions. One is the video we see where Wyatt escapes, and the other is the Wyatt that fell to his death. Why do I think this? Well, at the time of making this video, kanepixels has posted a community post containing these images. If you look closely, Wyatt appears to be monochromatic, which this is strange considering we saw Wyatt from a third perspective at the end of part 4 where he was full of color. This would only make sense that the Wyatt we saw lying on the ground was this Wyatt we see in the community post. This could mean that we have 2 Wyatts roaming around. Although these theories sound good, a lot doesn't add up. For one, how did the giant get out of the abandoned mall? The staircase is very narrow and would be almost impossible for the giant to go through. Not mentioning, what does this scene mean? Is the light coming from the roof the real world, or is this a type of light from an entity? Also, is any of this even real? If Wyatt fell to his death in the abandoned mall, how did Wyatt's body get to the surface? A lot of this doesn't add up, and it's almost impossible to see any plausible theory that has no contradictions to it. Even if any of these theories are true, what does this mean for the next part? Honestly, I have no idea where this concept can go from here. so it seems for now we would have to wait to see what happens in the next part. Dispersal is a part of the series where it leaves us all guessing of what's going on, and it builds anticipation for the next part while still keeping us hooked, waiting to see what direction the series goes in. What I really liked about this series is how eerie everything is. It really does have that same feeling of loneliness and liminality as the backrooms. And seriously, kanepixels has knocked it out of the ballpark this series. So again, if you haven't watched it, I will leave a link for you at the end of the video. And although I shared some theories that sound good on paper, none of them really make much sense. And the thing is, until we get another part in the series, we most likely won't have any real idea of what's going on. I hope you enjoyed this shorter video. I really enjoyed this series and I hope to continue to cover this when the future parts come out. Comment down below what you thought about the video or any theories you have. I read every single comment and I love talking to you guys. Stay safe everyone, and as always, thanks for watching.